Hey everyone, this is Nate and this is the Nader Tater channel. Alright, you just missed it, but a large dinosaur just came through and dropped this egg on my desk, and we're going to talk about this AT&T Internet Air. This is a service I've had for a couple months now, so I'm going to give you a rundown of what I think about it, some new changes that they've been doing to it, as well as what I've been researching and reading up about others have been saying online about it. So to start with, this is a 5G cellular gateway that receives 5G signal from a cell tower, just like your cell phone, and then it sends out Wi-Fi. It also has Ethernet ports on the back, so you can hook it up to your own switch or router as well if you really wanted to, and I actually do that myself. But this is designed to replace your cable, your fiber, your DSL, or if you don't have any other service, this is kind of where it comes in, and that's in fact what AT&T has been doing themselves. Is they originally rolled that out earlier this year, 2023, with their customers that have old DSL lines. They want honestly to get rid of those DSL lines, and they're offering this in place of that because they don't want to have to fix those old cables. So that's what they originally rolled it out for, and then they've been opening it up more and more. In fact, every month they're kind of opening up more and more cities out there. And I happened to get lucky back a couple months ago. I guess I got it in early September, so I guess it was late August that they opened it up to my area. And so I'll throw up a map here right now of the cities that they are rolling it out, and they are doing it all the way across the U.S. So west to east coast, but it's only in these select areas. And what it appears they're doing is they're going for areas that have their C-band network, which is their 5G mid-band. And this is all the carriers are going after this because it's kind of a sweet spot from a speed and throughput standpoint, but it still has some coverage and penetration of buildings and trees and whatnot. So that is the area that I'm in. If you look at their coverage map, I'm in a 5G plus area. But I'm also a little bit rural, or I'm in not heavily populated space. I'm kind of in the fringes of large populations. That's really what they're going for, because they don't have fiber down my road. I do have AT&T internet as an option for this address, but it's using my phone lines, and so it's slower, and they really want to have to stop maintaining those. So that might be one of the reasons why I was able to just sign up with my address. I did not play any tricks in order to get it. I was able to qualify and order it. So from a price standpoint, it's $55 a month, which is kind of on par with where Verizon and T-Mobile are at. I have both Verizon and T-Mobile 5G home internets here as well, and hooked up. So I'm comparing all these on my channel. You can see more about that if you're interested. But if you do have a phone plan with AT&T, you get a $20 discount, so it makes it like $35 a month. So that's pricing is fairly competitive with where they're at. You can get discounts here, there, or specials from Verizon or T-Mobile that might beat it out, but I would say they're probably on par with that. And that's not like a 12-month or intro pricing. That is their regular pricing. So AT&T tries to tout that there's no price hike at 12 months. And that's kind of true, but there's also no guarantee that your price won't change. So it's a little bit of a wait and see to see what they do right now. But when you look at AT&T, they are about a fraction of what Verizon and T-Mobile are. Now, there's been some people online that said, hey, I want AT&T Internet Air. I have their phone, and it gets great signal, or blah, blah, blah. Why can't I get it? And just because you are in one of those regions that I showed just a little minute ago doesn't mean you can get it. And there are some other caveats if you read their press releases where they kind of go into some more details. They're obviously looking at places where their wireless network, their cellular network, has capacity to handle all these users, because they know that a home user is going to be using a lot of data on these devices compared to a phone, because you're going to be multiple devices most likely streaming. You might be doing 4K video streaming for multiple devices, all kinds of stuff there. So they are being selective with where they roll it out, and that's why you're going to see kind of inconsistent. But if you are patient and you keep checking, I'm assuming it's going to roll out to be as big as T-Mobile and Verizon. So if we compare their sizes right now, it's not really a comparison. So AT&T has about 25,000 users, and that's, I think, as of November of 2023 from what I saw online. And if I compare that to Verizon, Verizon's a little bit over 2 million, I believe, but T-Mobile is over 3 million active users. So complete different order of magnitude for Verizon and T-Mobile versus AT&T, but I'm sure AT&T is going to try to get there because they would love to have that subscriber base out there. All right, so what do I think about it after 2 months of use? So most of my use for it has really been as a backup or as a third leg on my main internet. I have multi-WAN backup, so I have multiples of these. I have T-Mobile, I have Verizon, I have AT&T all hooked into my router up there, and then it's load balancing across those, and I have AT&T on a lower tier for load balancing, as well as a failover in case the other ones fell out. But I have specifically been doing some testing on that, and the other benefit of having it plugged into my TP-Link Amada setup is that it actually logs the ping and the throughput, which is not the speed, but just how much data is kind of going through that WAN there. And I'm able to get an idea of how consistent it is, as well as get detections of whenever it goes down. So, overall, my ping has not been great. My ping, if you do the average for averaging out all the every like 10 or 15 seconds that it checks over a day, is probably around 60 milliseconds. But I get spikes that go up to a couple hundred milliseconds unloaded, all the way down to maybe 40 milliseconds or something would be best case. So my ping's not been the best. It's higher than what I get on Verizon and T-Mobile, which is not good. And I've seen it kind of vary online from other users, where in general people kind of agree that ping is not as good, and everyone kind of understands that ping over cellular is typically not as good as it is over a hard line. So that's understood. I would say you have to always take my specific results with a grain of salt, because one thing I've learned with cellular is that it's going to vary greatly for each person. In fact, I'm down in my basement right now. If I were to plug this in and use it down here, it would be very poor performance because I get poor signal. But where I put it up on the third floor loft, it actually gets really good signal from a 5G standpoint, and my speeds are, I would say, okay. We'll talk about that here in a second. So with your speeds, it's going to vary based off how many users are on the network. They don't do any capping from what they say. Now they advertise like, I think it's 40 to 140 megabits per second as download, but there's plenty of people online that post speed tests of 400 megabits per second. For me, I typically get anywhere from say 60 or 70 megabits per second to I think I've got 300 maybe. For sure I've got 250, but I think I have touched the 300 mark before with this one. And then for my uploads, they also vary. Sometimes it's as low as like 5, but then other times I might be getting 30 or 40 megabits per second upload. So that really kind of varies. And for this one, I have noticed testing it that it is congestion. I'm assuming it's congestion related, because if I do like right now, or I guess it's getting a little bit late, but if I do kind of evening time frame or peak rush hour traffic time frame, I'm right by an interstate there, so there's cars that connect to this tower that are on the interstate. I see a slowdown. So like I just tested it at like 8:45 tonight, and I was getting about 70 megabits per second. But if I were to test it later at night, or past midnight type thing, I will see a couple hundred megabits per second. So I know that the speed is slowing down based on how many users on there. And with the AT&T Internet Air, your lowest priority, so you're always going to be slower than the phones that are out there. And I've also seemed to notice that for some reason correlates to also having worse latency on there as well. So from that standpoint, it's fast enough for me to do pretty much all of the things that I need to do as far as downloading stuff, streaming 4K videos. You can do multiple streaming at those types of speeds. But that ping has come in And I've noticed a couple times when I forced my connection to go through this one and I would do video conferencing, there are a few times when the other people video and sound got out of sync, and I think that's indication of the latency that's going on there. So not my favorite setup, but certainly if you have no other option, if I didn't have Verizon and AT&T, I would pick this most likely over the AT&T DSL that I did have at this house many years ago before I got into the 5G cellular stuff. All right, and so this has a built-in Wi-Fi router, and I've actually found the coverage to be very good. Now, it's a Wi-Fi 6 unit, so it has both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz bands being sent out. And the coverage, like I said, is very good. In fact, even when I had this all the way in the third floor, so I'm in the basement, go to the first floor, you go to the second floor of the house, and then you go to the third floor of the house. This gateway sitting up there, and even when it's about 20 feet off from a lateral direction as well as the 3 floors up, I still get signal down here. And it was obviously slower internet speed, but it was probably around 15 or 17 megabits per second down here for download and upload. And that's not very fast, but that is much better than some of my other regular Wi-Fi routers I've had in my house in the past, like an Asus one sitting up on the first floor. It would have trouble getting signal at all, just one floor below because of the ceiling that I have in the basement. So the coverage seems to be pretty good, but they do actually sell extenders if you don't like it. Instead of being a dinosaur egg, it's actually like an ostrich egg size that you get to pair up with this thing. I almost want to get one ordered just so I can have this little collection of eggs out here from AT&T that they claim this is sleek and fits in with any decor. I'll leave that up to you. Certainly the nice sticker here makes it more attractive. All right, some other comments about it over time. I have had it actually kind of crap out on me a couple times. It seems to do it overnight, which oftentimes on these you would kind of relate them to be like firmware upgrades. That might be some of it. To be honest with you, I have not actually tracked to see exactly what it was saying as far as firmware updates on it. But there are also some that are kind of inconsistent or weird, and those are just the service going down. Now, to be fair, Verizon and T-Mobile do that as well sometimes. It's not very common. This one is happening more than those other ones are. So I think they are still growing, and I think they are still working on their network. They have purchased a lot of this C-band spectrum, and I think for the towers they might have to do some upgrading to them as well. So you might see some service changes or dropouts or whatnot, especially early on in these. So I give it a little bit of a negative for that relative to the peers. Overall, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed with it. I would say it seems a little bit less mature than T-Mobile and Verizon from having all of the things figured out. But I do like some of the features, specifically, their settings that I've shown in a past video, that you do have a lot of control over it. And they do have like IP pass-through, and they have bridge mode or DMZ mode. So they have a lot of capability there that if you don't want to use their router and their Wi-Fi signal, you can turn those off. You can turn off all their NAT, and you can have all that stuff sent over to your own personal router to then handle that. So I think that's really good. I think it has a lot of promise. I think it just has to grow on us. If I look at my speeds from when I first got it 2 months ago, they have actually gotten faster. And there have been a few times, especially during low congestion times, when I've gotten some really good speeds that it looks really promising, but then everyone else wakes up and they kind of go back away. So I'm hoping they can continue to expand that, and then they can continue to not only offer more customers it, but they can also provide those customers with faster speed. All right, well, hopefully this sharing of my experience and other things I've found is helpful. If you have any other questions, please put them down in the comment section below. And then, of course, hit that thumbs up button down below as well if you enjoy the video and want to help support this channel. Also consider subscribing. Check out my channel for lots of Verizon, T-Mobile, and other AT&T videos as well. I try to cover a lots of different things, including some little tips and tricks or hacks there that can help you out get the best speed for your own internet.